From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
When you wake up on a Tuesday morning and the calendar says August 21st, 2021, what do you think about? It's another day, right? But we've got a big show today. Let me tell you why. First, in 2 short hours, the legendary Roger Grimes will be joining me on Hacking MFA webinar. If you have not registered, go do so now. Even if you can't attend, if once you register, you'll be able to view it later. No PowerPoints, none of the boring webinars like if you just use this tool, you'll get this. A real practical look at multi-factor authentication, how we get it done. I'm so excited for it. I'm ready to go in 2 short hours. But you're tuning in to hear the latest about risks, impact, and mitigation. Before we get to that, it's coffee time. You're absolutely right, Chris. Good morning to Matt Lee. You still have a 30-minute walk before coffee today. Good morning, David. Good morning, Brent. I'm right here, Chris. I'm right over here, buddy. Marcia, I hope I said your name right. Good morning. Good morning to Tyler from awesome St. Louis. And yes, David, it will be a great webinar. I promise you, because guess what? You guys get to be a part of it. It's interactive. It's live. We're here to answer your questions, help you really use MFA for what it's meant to be. So it's going to be a good one. Go sign up now for it. Good morning to Keith. Thank you for being here. So before we get into today's story, we got to give a quick shout out to KnowBe4 and Antivo Networks for helping support the show. Make sure to check them out. You'll see more about them in the show notes. And where would we start without our cup of coffee? Now, this is my 3rd this morning. I'll probably have 2 more today, so that'll be 5. It's about, depending on, this will be shot number 6 if we just talk shots. I'll probably get to 10 or 12 today. So, yeah, I know that's crazy. But coffee cup cheers, folks. Dedicating this cup of coffee. And good morning, Karen Warstall, the legend from Denver. Thank you for being with us this morning, Karen. I love Denver. Cheers, folks. All right, here we go. Let's get right into it. I've got 5 really big stories to come at you today. Some of them patches, a lot of them vulnerabilities or things that we need to start paying attention on. So here we go. The REaltek SDK vulnerability is actually being exploited days after disclosure. The official date of the disclosure was August 15th. REaltek is used in predominantly a lot of laptops, a lot of Windows-based devices. It's a significant threat simply because if you're not patching this SDK, because there is a patch for this. So this vulnerability actually has a patch. This patch needs to get deployed. About a month and a half ago, I was doing the practitioner brief, we talked about the timeline from disclosure of a vulnerability to scanning. In the short term, it's an hour. At most, it's 24 hours. This is 9 days later. Still no patch. Still not a lot of people have patched. And now there's real threat actors using this vulnerability in order to gain unauthorized access. So a bunch of different IoT inspectors have identified nearly 200 unique types of affected devices from a total of 65 different vendors. Folks, here's what this can include. Routers, IP camera, Wi-Fi repeaters, residential gateways from companies like Asus, Belkin, D-Link, Huawei, LG, Logitech, Netgear, ZTE, and Zexel. The firm estimates that there could be as many as 1 million systems that are exposed to remote attacks due to these vulnerabilities. The 4 CVs that have been identified and assigned to these flaws are CV 2021, and I'm just going to say the 35399 2, 35399 3, 35399 4, and 35399 5, and 35399 5, which compromises 6 different bugs, has been exploited in the wild to deliver a variant of the Mirai IoT malware, which we just talked about just a short week ago. Juniper started seeing also attempts to exploit CV 2021-200900, which is a vulnerability that affects at least 20 other vendors. So here's the deal with this. You guys may go, this doesn't impact me. Wonderful. You're on the lucky side. If you're on the unlucky side where this could have an impact, especially working from home, here's where I am at, folks, right here. I can highlight this, and I don't know if this shows. You guys can see it right there in gray. Wi-Fi repeaters and residential gateways. I have people still working from home. We're still in a hybrid work environment, right? This is kind of, I don't want to say the new normal, but this is the modern workplace, okay? If I've got people using Asus, Belkin, D-Link, Huawei, LG, Logitech, Netgear, ZTE, and Zixel from home, I'm concerned about this, and I'm talking to them. We're getting the devices patched up if we need to be, or talking to the vendors about getting it done as well. So do that. We'll move on to another big story coming from our friends over at Microsoft, where 38 million records were exposed from a Microsoft Power Apps for dozens of organizations. 38 million records from 47 different entities that rely on Microsoft's Power Apps portals platform were inadvertently left exposed online. And it's bringing focus into the new vector of data exposure, according to this article. The types of data varied between portals, including PII for COVID-19 contact tracing, COVID-19 vaccine appointments, social security numbers for job applicants, employee ID, and millions of names and email addresses, according to UpGuard. Government bodies like Indiana, Maryland, New York City, and private companies like American Airlines, Ford, JB Hunt, and Microsoft are said to have been impacted by this. If you don't know Power Apps is a Microsoft-powered development platform for building low-code custom business apps that work across mobile and the web using pre-built templates, in addition to offering APIs to enable access to data by other applications. So this was an inadvertent mistake, but it goes into hygiene, folks. Hygiene is everything in security. All right, and as you can see here, the different fields of the data that have been obviously left unguarded there. Microsoft does have released a tool called Portal Checker to diagnose any potential exposure arising from misconfiguration, and has made updates to newly created portals and so forth. And make sure you're checking this stuff out as well. Good morning to Nick, who's joining us as well. This one, folks, this third story right here, significant, and I'll tell you why. It's creative, it's trustworthy, and it's really, really, really good. So phishing campaign is using UPS.com XSS vulnerability to distribute malware. So here's the deal. This was discovered by security researcher Daniel Gallagher, and he pretended to be an email. He got an email pretending to be from UPS stating that a package had an exception, needed to be picked up by the customer. When you actually dissect this, and Bleeping Computer did an unbelievable job of writing this up. It's actually the most detail I've seen for this vulnerability, and I think it's critical because as a practitioner, I want to know some of the stuff that goes on there. So here's the deal. The email's filled with legitimate links that perform nothing malicious, nothing at all. Everything seems legit until you look at and you click on the tracking number right here. See that right there on your screen. The cleaned up version of the URL used for tracking the number can be seen below. There's a bunch of obfuscated code obviously on here, but something really interesting. The base 64 string contains a comment from the threat actor, which helpfully explains that it's used to make the URL longer to hide an XSS exploit query parameter appended to the end of the URL. And you guys can see the comment here. All the links to all the stories are in the show notes. Go and read this one out. It's unbelievable. Here's what you need to do. One, if you're on Microsoft, Google, whatever email rules you are using, what you need to do is take the script, add the end link to it so that you disable any messages that come from UPS.com. Otherwise, look at the header of how this is coming as well, because there's a Cloudflare script injected vulnerability in here that you can also add to detect and quarantine any messages that might be coming to your organization. This way, there's also the fake invoice document, which once downloaded also pretends to be a shipping invoice from UPS. So keep that in mind. Again, you can typically block all of this stuff just by going into your email settings. So get that done today if you can. Researchers are warning about 4 emerging ransomware groups that can cause havoc. Here's the deal, folks. 4 new ransomware groups. Some go down. Every time we take one down, another one comes right back up. This is according to Palo Alto's Unit 42 threat intel team that shared a report that talks about the development comes as ransomware attacks are getting bigger, more frequent, growing in size. That's brought about 4 new threat actors that we should all get to know. The first one and the significant one is Avis Locker Ransomware, which is an affiliate of ransomware as a service type of organization. The group commenced operation in late June through press releases with a blue beetle logo to recruit new affiliate. They've run data leaks and extortion. It's said to have breached 6 organizations in the US, UK, UAE, Belgium, Spain, and Lebanon, with ransom demands ranging anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. The second group we got to be made aware of is Hive. Hive, while it started in the same month as Avis Locker, has already hit several healthcare providers in mid-sized organizations, including a European airline company, 3 US-based entities, among other victims located in Australia, China, India, Netherlands, Norway, Peru, Portugal, Switzerland, Thailand, and the UK. The third group, which was also detected in the wild, is a Linux variant of the Hello Kitty ransomware, which singles out Linux servers running VMware's ESXi hypervisor. The observed variant includes 5 organizations in Italy, Australia, Germany, the Netherlands, and of course, the United States. The highest ransom demand observed from this group was $10 million, but at the time, the vuln received transactions amounting to $1.48 million. And lastly, Lockbit 2.0. How can we leave these guys out? They've been making news for the last 2 weeks. They resurfaced with the 2.0 version of their affiliate program, touting unparalleled benefits. They've targeted 52 organizations in accounting, automotive, consulting, engineering, finance, high-tech, hospitality, insurance, law enforcement, legal services, manufacturing, nonprofit energy, retail, transport, and logistics going across Argentina, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Germany, Italy, Malaysia, Mexico, Romania, Switzerland, the UK, and the US. If anything, the emergence of a new ransomware variant shows that cyber criminals are doubling down on a ransomware attack. While Revel and DarkSide may have gone and laid low, these guys are up and at it, folks. And our final story to wrap up today is the OnePercent Group Ransomware that's targeted U.S. organizations since November of last year. A new write-up by the FBI sharing info on a threat actor group known as 1%. I'll give you the short synopsis. They've released the TTPs and IOCs for this group. The FBI learns that they've identified themselves as the 1% group. Chances are they do that because they're actually a combination of several ransomware gangs that have actually gone underground, kind of disappeared over time. So they could be that kind of 1% per se. They're attacking through, obviously, phishing email attachments that drop the iced ID banking Trojan payloads to targeted systems. They then install a Cobalt strike and compromise endpoints for lateral movements. Once they maintain access to the victim's networks for up to 1 month, they exfil files before deploying the ransomware payload. They'll encrypt files using a random 8-character extension, like the one you see in front of you, DZC QCIA, and will add a uniquely named ransom notes linking to the gangs.onion website. Victims can use the Tor website to get more info on the demanded ransom, negotiate with the attackers, and get technical support. This it's an affiliate of Revel with a little bit of Maze, a little bit of Egregor. So this could be just a bunch of people who've all kind of agreed that we all get along really, really well. Let's do this according to the FBI. Read the full report on the FBI's website. It's really, really a great read and something very effective for your incident response team, for your threat intel team, and also for your SOC. So all of those are definitely something worthwhile to check out. Folks, that's it for our practitioner brief today. Thank you for everyone for being here, tuning in. joining me for a cup of coffee and a little bit of your cyber news this morning. In just about an hour and 45 minutes, I'll be live with the legend Roger Grimes talking about hacking MFA. If you have not registered, please make sure to do so now. I'll be back again here tomorrow at 9 a.m. with another great episode of the Practitioner Brief. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, you love it, please make sure to subscribe, tune in to the show. And until then, folks, have a great rest of your day. I hope to see you all on the webinar later. Don't miss it. You get to ask questions. We get to have a discussion. Those are always more interactive than just a PowerPoint. So join me and Roger. You won't want to miss it. Until then, folks, have a great rest of your day. Stay cyber safe. Cheers.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.